Hey everybody, welcome to video number 7. This video corresponds to module number 7, which deals with arithmetic operations with decimals. So we're going to go through some examples of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division when decimal numbers are involved. So with that, I will share my screen and we will get started. All right, so we're going to look at some examples with arithmetic and decimal numbers. So let's go ahead and jump into the first sample problem. So the first one involves addition. And basically, when it comes to adding decimal numbers, it's very similar to what you do when we're dealing with whole numbers. The only catch is worrying about the decimal point. And what you have to do when you are adding these numbers up is, especially if you're having to do it by hand, you need to align the numbers vertically so that the decimal points line up. That's really the key to addition with decimal numbers. Lining up those decimal points so that way the place values, the columns correspond. So the ones or the units column lines up. So in this case, the 4 and the 9 are in the units column because they're to the left of the decimal point. So those columns line up. And then the same thing with the other columns, tenths, hundredths, thousandths going to the right. The units column, the tens, hundreds going to the left. That's really the ultimate key. The other thing is just making sure things are lined up. So if you want to just make sure that the decimal point in your answer is placed where it needs to go in line with the other decimal points. Feel free to fill in any spaces or empty spots with zeros just to kind of help you keep track of how the numbers line up. And then it's just a matter of doing the addition. So we start at the right and work our way from right to left. So we'll start with 0 plus 6, that gets us 6. Then we have 9 plus 7, which is 16. Write down the 6, carry the 1. Add up the next column, 1 plus 8 plus 4 is 13. So we write down the 3 and again carry the 1. 1 plus 4 plus 9 is 14. Write down the 4, carry the 1. 1 plus 5 is 6. And then 1, there's nothing underneath it. So 1 plus 0 is 1. And there we go. There's our solution. The decimal point lined up nicely in the solution with the other decimal points, and it's already taken care of, so our number is complete. So our final answer is 164 and 366 thousandths. All right, example problem number 2. This time we're going to do subtraction. We're going to find the difference. And like addition, the key is making sure that you line up the decimal points. So when we go to write these vertically, we'll start with 569 and 2 tenths minus 78 and 92 hundredths. Again, the decimal points line up. That's the key. The decimal point in our answer falls right in line with the other 2 decimal points. So we just put it kind of straight down right below in our answer. If you have any missing spaces, especially in subtraction, it's kind of nice to add in zeros. And the reason for that is when you actually go to do the subtraction, you want to make sure you don't forget to do your borrowing. In this case, if we try to take 2 away from 0, we can't do that. So putting that 0 in is definitely helpful. So like I said, we're going to subtract, so we're going to have to start by borrowing. So we're going to borrow from the 2, it becomes a 1. The 0 becomes a 10, so now I can subtract. 10 minus 2 is 8. Moving from right to left, we're going to try taking 9 away from 1. Again, we can't do that, so we need to borrow. So the 9 becomes an 8, the 1 becomes an 11, and now I can subtract. 11 minus 9 is 2. Continuing on to the left, 8 minus 8 we get 0. I can't take the 7 away from the 6, so again, I'm going to borrow. 5 becomes a 4, and then the 6 becomes a 16. 16 minus 7 is 9. 4 minus 0, since there's nothing there, 4 minus 0 is 4. And there we go. There's our answer, 490 and 28 hundredths. So addition and subtraction, pretty straightforward. Same rules as if you were adding and subtracting whole numbers. The only difference is as your first step, make sure you write down the numbers so the decimal points are aligned and that the columns line up. And as long as you have that, you're good to go. The decimal point in the answer lines up with the other decimal points, and you're all set. All right, let's shift to multiplication. So in our next problem, we're going to find the product. We're going to multiply a couple numbers together. Now, when it comes to setting up this problem, we don't worry about the alignment of the decimal points. So again, multiplication is kind of a different animal in that regard. The key thing to do when you do multiplication is typically put the number that has more digits on the top and the number that has fewer digits on the bottom. That usually makes the multiplication a lot easier. Fewer partial products when all said and done. So not that you can't do it the other way, but this looks a little bit cleaner and a little bit neater. Now, what you need to do is we're just going to multiply like you normally were. We're going to actually ignore the decimal points for the time being. So when we go ahead and do that, we're going to take 6 times 3. We've got 18. Write down the 8, carry the 1. 6 times 2 is 12, plus the 1 is 13. Carry the 1. 6 times 6 is 36, plus 1 is 37. So there's our first partial product. Okay, we're going to erase the 1 so we don't get confused and move on. And now multiply the 2 times each of the numbers in the upper decimal number. So 2 times 3 is 6. Again, remember with multiplication, because we are working underneath the 2, we move our partial product over a space. So the 6 is underneath the 3 in this case. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 6 is 12. And we have plenty of room that we can go ahead and write the 12 down. Now we're going to go ahead and add things up. So we add our partial products. We have 8. 3 plus 6 is 9. 7 plus 4 is 11. So write down the 1, carry the 1. 1 plus 3 plus 2 is 6. And then 1 in that 10 thousandths column is just the 1. Okay, now we've done the multiplication piece. We've got our digits. Now is when we worry about the decimal point. And what you're going to do is you are going to count up the number of digits that are after or to the right of the decimal points in the original numbers that we multiplied together. So in this case, there are 1, 2, 3 digits after the decimal point. So what we do is we go down to our answer, we start at the right, and we move the decimal point 1, 2, 3 spaces. Okay? So since there were 3 digits behind the decimal point up above, we move our decimal point 3 spaces down below. And once you get your decimal point in the right spot, you're good to go. The final answer for this situation is 16 and 198 thousandths. All right, last problem involves division. Okay, so we're going to find the quotient. So to set up the problem, we just set it up like we normally would with long division. So the first number is going to go underneath the division symbol. The divisor goes on the outside. Again, what we need to do is we want to take care of the decimal points. So what you do is you look to the divisor, the outside number, and you move the decimal point however many spaces are necessary to make it so that it becomes a whole number. All right, so In this case, we have to move the decimal point one space to get the decimal point all the way to the right. What you then do to keep the problem equivalent is you move the decimal point on the inside number the same number of spaces. So since we moved it one space on the outside, we move it one space on the inside. The decimal point then goes directly above that new location in the answer. Okay, goes directly above in the answer. Now we've got our decimal point situated. Now we just divide like normal. So what I'm going to do is just kind of get rid of those extra zeros out in front so it doesn't confuse us. The extra decimal point we kind of erase there as well. And now we just do division. So we start by deciding if the 6 can go into the 3. In this case, it doesn't. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a 0 down just to kind of hold that spot. It's not a requirement, but sometimes it's handy for helping to make sure that you get things in the correct spot. 6 doesn't go into 3, so we go to the next digit. So does 6 go into 32? And again, the answer is yes. It goes in there 5 whole times with a little bit left over. 5 times 6 is 30. We then subtract 32 minus the 30 gets you 2. Bring down the next digit. 6 goes into 24 4 times. And it actually goes in there exactly 4 times. So we're always trying to get as close to the number without going over. When we subtract, we end up with 0. Once we get to the last digit that we brought down, if again we have 0, that means we're done. We don't have to worry about bringing down anything else. We don't have to worry about any remainders or anything like that. It goes in there nicely. And so our final answer is simply 54 hundredths, 0.54. And there you go. That's long division with decimals. Alrighty, so working with decimal numbers, again, very similar to what you do when it comes to working with whole numbers. The key is working with the decimal points, whether it's getting them aligned in addition and subtraction and then making sure they line up in the answer, or whether it is doing the multiplication and then counting up number of spaces that we have to move the decimal point in our final answer, or in division where you have to get the decimal point kind of switched around a little bit and then placed in the answer to get started. It's just a matter of, like I said, making sure the decimal point ends up in the right space in the answer is really the key to these kind of problems. So I hope the examples were helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video.